Good morning, everybody, and welcome to podcast number 5 of Make It Happen Leadership. Today is the second segment of a new format we're doing where I'm interviewing other people, other leaders, instead of being interviewed myself. And I'm extremely honored today and really excited to have Mr. Alan Chávez here with us. Alan, good morning.
Good morning, Bob. Thank you so much for having me here. Very excited.
Let's start. Talk about yourself a little bit, Alan. Tell us a little bit about yourself personally and professionally.
Well, even about myself, personally, I'm a very dynamic person. I love to change. Don't really like to be in one place. I want to be moving around a lot. I love the challenges. I love sports. I'm very competitive. I love to practice sports and compete. And as well, I love my family. I'm a family guy. I always like to be with my children, with my wife. I love to travel. And I love to live life. I really think that life is short and we need to live. And professionally, I have the opportunity to lead a program, a marketing program for a timeshare company, for Taffer and Villa Group, and it's great. I lead about 300 people. We have offices in 2 cities, and we are very, very dynamic, and we're growing, so very excited to do that as well.
Great. Welcome to be here with you, and I really appreciate it. Alan's kind of special, guys. I've known Alan for a long time, and I'm close to Alan, so I've had an opportunity to really watch his leadership, and he is an example of everything we talk about in the book, Make It Happen, a simple blueprint for bold leadership. I want to talk about something that's very, very important now. It's a hot topic today. You deal with a group of people. Um, there's a lot of innovation in what you're doing there with Net Center and pre-arrival and the referral program. And most of your staff are younger people. You're dealing with a lot of 24, 25, 26 year olds. I think someone old in your staff, well, you do have Hannah over there, so he's kind of old. But most of your people are young people. Talk to us about some of the challenges in the recruitment, the training, and the development area that you have there.
That's a great question, Bob. I've been working there for now, it's going to be my 18th year. So there was a time that I was the youngest one, right? So I was the youngest of the crew. I was right out of college. I have the opportunity for you to bring me to the company, and pretty much you have all the energy, but you know nothing, right? So on the cycle of the employee that I've been told lately is when you start with, you have a lot of motivation, like a lot, and you want to do a lot of things, but you don't know anything about the business and pretty much nothing, right? But you have all that power and energy to do things, and then as you grow, motivation start going down, and then obviously you know the most of the things, but that's the part when you think you know more, and then you want to come with new proposals, new things, and then if those things don't come your way, then the motivation start going a little bit more down. So the good thing about having younger crowd is that they're all motivated, right? They come, they want to do new things right away. And this is kind of the difference between when I was working before and right now. That when I started and I was young, I knew things. I wanted to make things different, but it was a little bit more slow to propose things. Back in the day, we were told, okay, first start, learn, and then you propose. Right now, nowadays, people do really want to make things different, right? In everything, such as little things, very little things. They want to propose new things. They want to come up with new ideas, and sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming. Sometimes I feel myself like just do the things that I'm telling you to do, and that's it. And it's the easier way. But when you sit and listen, what else are they doing? It's very good to see that things can be done differently, and you can achieve more by listening. But as well comes with the challenges, right? Right now it's a new generation. They value more their time. They value more being away from the office. Home office is something that right now is there. Just after the pandemic, most of the people went to their house, start working from there, and now they think they should be working from their house. And our business is a little bit different because we have a call center. Even though you might be able to do some things on your house, it's not the type of business that you can potentially be all the time in your house. So we require them to be at the office. And being at the office, just the office that we have here in Puerto Vallarta, we have close to 300 employees at one office. So imagine having 20 years old in one office. It's different, right? So we need to provide the fun environment. That's that thing number one. If it's not fun for them, it's a job that is not worth it. And before, when we were working, and back in the day when I was on my 20s, I really wanted to make money. And it didn't really matter if it was fun or not. I just want to make money and provide for my family. Right now, it's not like that. Right now, they need to have fun. They need to come to work and feel they're having fun. And as well, they need to know that they matter. And right now is the kind of thing that we work in the most because people do really want to feel appreciated and they matter. That the thing that I'm doing right now matters for the company. And it requires time for us as a leaders to explain to them why the thing that you're doing or the job that you're performing matters for the company and why it matters to me, for you, and for your peers. And it just requires a lot of talk and a lot of one-on-one. And sometimes we just don't want to do that, right? Because you as a leader, when you're in one-on-one, they might come with things that you don't want to hear, and they don't want to listen, and it's just time that requires from every single line of the teams. Nevertheless, the more younger crowd that they come, the fresher that we are. I think that I'm example of that. When you brought me, I consider myself very difficult to deal sometimes, and I know that you put with that. That when I was, well, I don't know, when I was a little bit younger than I'm right now, then I was coming with all these things coming your way, telling you how can do these things, and telling you no, you don't know anything, Bob, because I'm there all the time, and you're there in your office, and you don't know what I'm doing, and I find myself in those situations a lot right now. So I remember talking to you like, what do we do, right? What do you do when they're telling you that they know more than you, and you know that you know more, but it's not necessarily the case, right? You need to listen, you need to hear, and that just recall my time when I was dealing with you because in my early career, I pretty much was dealing the most with you, telling you, let's do this, let's do that, let's go and open an office over there, let's bring this more people, let's invest this more, and you don't really know, right? You just have the energy and the power to do so, but you don't really have a business plan. You don't know how the numbers gonna look like, and that's what they do. They bring a lot of ideas, they bring a lot of things, but they don't necessarily have the business plan, right? So it's a combination between bringing everything that we need as an energy, as a power, as an innovation with the business plan that provides money for the company. And I get stuck on feeling myself a little bit like Bob, like now I understand a little bit more why yourself was thinking more about the numbers. Uh, I know that you are particular with the money, and I understand more. I understand why money should go little by little, not faster. Some of the times it's easier to throw money to the problem. You have been telling me that for a long time. Like it's easier just to put more money and then the problem will solve. But then eventually you will see that the problem will just get bigger because we didn't really attain what was at the very beginning. And I don't know. From that, that's kind of like what I'm right now. But I don't know what was your thing when you were dealing with me back in the day, like 20
Well,
years ago.
you said something very interesting right there. You said throwing money at the problem. The other side of that is not only does the problem keep growing, you eventually go broke. In business there has to be a balance. You have to have that. Let's unpack a little bit what you talked about because you hit on a couple, about three key things I want to go further on. One, which is real close to my heart, and I'm going to use that by the way. Thank you for that. That's the motivation knowledge curve. That it's so true. When you hire people, they're so motivated. You see that in sales particularly. They come
Mhm.
in and they're just unbeatable. They got so much energy and they're just so over abundant, right?
Mhm.
And naturally they make sales. Then they start learning, right? And as they start learning, and not part of learning is not just here's the challenge in learning is that they're getting some of that knowledge from their leadership,
Exactly.
but they're getting a lot of that knowledge from their peers, which is not always the best knowledge. And it's funny, you can track that in sales. That these people come in, they'll be way up here, their production's way up here, their motivation's way up here. Then all of a sudden, their knowledge is down here. They don't really know a lot about what they're selling, but they know they love it, and they know the people they're talking to are going to love it. And then all of a sudden, they start learning, right? And they start learning about who should or should not purchase it, how and how they shouldn't purchase it, and why they wouldn't purchase it. As that knowledge curve goes up, right? And this is key, the productivity goes down, and as a result of that, the motivation goes down.
Mhm.
That's very unique. So how do you protect against that? What do you do? What are some of the things you do within your team to protect against that?
Well, coming back to that circle, uh, there's a point that you want to have employees that motivate themselves and they keep learning, right? So you don't have to go there as a leader to motivate them because motivation is hard, right? And at the same time, you don't know what motivates the people. That some things might motivate me that are different from you and from the people that work with us. So obviously, you need to learn what is the motivation that you can bring to them. But as well, the knowledge and the learning should be all the time. So myself, as a leader, I help them to keep them learning more things, right? Because I do believe that it's not only about the business, it's not only about the call centers, it's about the life, right? By reading a book, you are getting knowledge, right? So we promote those kind of things, like go and learn something, go and find yourself with a new hobby, with a new something. Like we give trainings every week, and we incentivize the leaders to stand up and teach something. And at the beginning, it's hard because speaking in public, I also learned that it's one of the biggest fear of people. Like coming here and speak is difficult for the most of the people. So when you teach them, go and speak on something and just teach. I mean, just teach all the team whatever you want. It's kind of fun because they bring these things that sometimes don't make any sense what they're saying.
Just let me interrupt for a sec. Everybody here, all the staff that's helping us with this. First off, thank you for everything you do. But more importantly, you're looking at a person that would not speak in public when he first started out. You know, I remember times when we say, "Okay, well, I'll go up and do this." You go, "Well, why don't you do that?"
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny because anybody looking at you today would think you're a natural because you're outgoing, your eye contact's great. So you're right. It's a learned thing, and it's just get out and do it,
It's a
get past the
skill.
fear and do it. I love the way you talk about continue the learning. In a sense, what that says to me is you're accepting the fact that they're going to get input from other areas,
Hmm.
but you're making sure that they're getting other input that's leading them in the right direction and really increasing their knowledge and skill set as well as that so you can offset that negative learning that they're getting from their peers. That's very interesting. It's very important. Second thing that I wanted to talk to you about was I made a note here measurement. One of the things you talked about there with your young staff, they come in with ideas, they want to do this. How do in the book we talk a lot about measure everything.
Yes, sir.
Um, how do you apply that? You're talking about your challenge with all the ideas and everything. So how do you take that and turn it around and use measurements to monitor what these new ideas are and how they would impact the business?
I'm gonna go back a little bit on what you just said because lately I was telling one of my closest friends. I was telling them like I'm not a very social person. Actually, I enjoy being by myself a lot. I don't really like to talk to people neither. So I can find myself being alone and eating alone, and I'm super happy. I don't really like to be around people. So in my job, I'm around people 100% of the time, right? So I got a role that I need to play, and I learn it, and it's a skill. And such as speaking in public, it's a skill that if you practice and you do it, then eventually it comes easier, but you need to practice, right? So with that, and with being around people, it is something that either you have it or you don't. But if you practice it, and if you practice empathy with them, then it's easier for everybody. Just to recap on that, because yeah, at the very beginning, Bob would say something like, "No, I don't want to talk. I don't want to be in the meeting. I don't want to be in the spot. I don't want to read numbers because you don't want to be scrutinized by anybody, right? So it's tough. It's tough to be in there and telling you things all the time. It's a difficult job on that regards. Now with measurement, uh, like I said at the beginning, you are super empowered to do things. You think that you know everything. You really believe yourself that I know more than these guys because I myself I have the fortune to be to a really good school. I went to the tech, so they teach you a lot of things over there. But they also tell you that you're the greatest and you're the one that's gonna go out and you're gonna be a manager and you're gonna be making 100,000 pesos a month and you deserve it, right? So right there, it's something that hits you in the face. Like, no, you don't know shit. You need to learn a lot. Money does come not easy, and particularly in the timeshare business, that is a business that I love. It's a business that you can be whatever you want, but that's the thing that you need to work really hard to be there. Every single person that in this company is making any kind of money, believe me, it's not that they just get given that money or they given that position. It's hard, and it's like sports. It's hard to get there, but it's even more harder to maintain there because when you lead and you're responsible for a number and for people, it's a pressure that adds up. And with that and with measurement, if you don't measure what you do, you pretty much are lost, right? So at the beginning, like I said, when I wanted to do a lot of things, I didn't really have the knowledge of the measurement, anything, just the power and the energy to do so. Everything kind of comes, but then at some point you need to see what am I doing right so I can continue to do those things and then I can move forward. There's a book that I read that in my career from Malcolm X that says, what get you here won't get you there. Great book because all the things that we have done to put us in this position don't really matter of the things that we need to do now to put us in that position. And that comes with measurement. We measure the things that we think it's valuable, but that's the other thing. Like a lot of time we need to sit and see, okay, what are we measuring and why are we doing that? Is it valuable to measure this? I would focus on with energy in the right things, or we need to change and measure some other things. For example, right now, do we measure sympathy with other employees? We probably don't, and probably we should. Do we measure empathy? We probably don't, and we probably should. Do we measure results? Of course we do, because it's everything about results. And I want to say something here because one of the times I found myself overwhelmed a lot, and I come to you and I ask you a lot of things. And I told you one thing like, hey, this is not happening, the results are not happening, I'm having to deal with this person, right? And I was telling you that I was making change, and you asked me something that pretty much marked me, and you asked me, have you asked this person how they're doing or what happened in their life? And I'm like, no, not really. Why not? I'm like, because I'm focusing on their results and I'm looking at the measurement of the results. Yeah, but focus on the people and ask them how they are. So kind of change a little bit my thinking, and now I start with that like, how are you? Before anything, right? Before I tell you something about the numbers, how are you? Then they will tell you something about whatever, and then you go with the numbers. And the good thing about measurement is this business is hard because it seems like it's personal, but it's not. It's about the numbers. But the numbers help you not to make it personal, right? Because if you are not performing and the numbers say something, you go with the numbers and you go with the measurement, and that's it. It's not like I don't like you or I like you the most. It's just what the numbers are telling me. This is what I'm telling you. And again, you told me these are the numbers. This is what I want. What do we do to get here? How can I help you to get there? If I'm not doing my part to get there, then it's on me. But if I'm putting all the tools to get you there, and for some reason you're not getting there, this is where I can tell you, okay, this might not be for you. We might need to change you here, or we might need to make a move, and that's how we measure. And as well on measurement, I believe that right now with all the tools that we have, especially with AI, it's super easy. So I believe that we're living in a time that if you're not measured with everything that we have, you're pretty much out of the game. And I give an example. I wear this all the time. You do as well. It counts your steps, it counts your heartbreak, it counts a lot of things. So I measure myself on my health. Why shouldn't I mention my business or how it's doing? Because business matters, my health matters, and it's super easy. Before to have a tool like this, it was super difficult. You need to get to the doctor, they need to give you an appointment, they need to have this thing of how your heart is, and things like that. Right now, with everything that we have, we just press a button and we know pretty much everything about the business. However, like you just said, at some point, information sometimes it's not that good for a lot of people, including myself. Sometimes knowing that much of the information, it's overwhelming because in this company, I have the fortune that I think I'm one of the employees that they give me a lot of trust. So they show me the books, they show me pretty much everything, and it's difficult because you see some things and you know things here, but then you're fighting with some other things here, and sometimes you don't understand what are we finding for a computer when we are building $4 million, whatever, right? So that's the
I
measurement.
hear you. It's easy. You're right. It's easy when you're looking at the total numbers and you're saying, "Oh, I'm fighting about peanuts over here." But that's why measurements work. Everything
Exactly,
counts.
exactly.
Everything counts. How you measure is important also. I think how you measure things, you brought it up, the empathy and that stuff, that's very important.